today I'm going to be talking about my experience at Soul Quest Church in Orlando, Florida. Soul Quest is one of the only churches here in the United States where you can go and take the plant medicine ayahuasca. And so I had seen this plant medicine documentary about doing ayahuasca. It had Michelle Rodriguez from Fast and Furious in it. And it just was really inspiring. Everyone who went and did it had a lot of healing experiences and insights and came out of it with all of this clarity. And I have been experimenting with psychedelics for a while now, and all of my experiences have been really difficult to put into words because the experiences are literally beyond human language, so it's just really tough to put into words. But I'm gonna try to go ahead and put my experience. This was my first time, my experience before, so this is my first time doing that. Ayahuasca is like DMT, but it's kind of like a slow creep up experience rather than the other kind of DMT where you take it and it's just like right away and it lasts for 14 minutes to 20 minutes or something. So this lasted for about 3 hours for me. So I'm saying that it cost, I think, around $600, but that's including like, you know, place to stay, all your meals. They have like yoga classes that you can do Saturday morning, and I believe they only do ceremonies on Friday and Saturday, and Sundays are just like integration work, how to integrate the plant medicine and that those insights that you get into your everyday life. And I'll start by saying taking psychedelics is kind of like learning anything that is a very broad subject that you could spend your whole life learning about. So if you were watching a video about the origin of the universe, you could watch one video and only come out from that video knowing or retaining like 1% of that knowledge. So in order to get like a grander idea of what you learned, you would have to watch 50 to 100 more videos on the origin of the universe in order to get, you know, a better understanding. So it's kind of the same with psychedelics. You could do one trip and come out of it, you know, you experience so much, but you only retain maybe like 1% of it. So you would have to do psychedelics 50 to 100 times to fully understand and put into words your experience. Obviously, psychedelics are a helpful tool, but they're not a magic pill. You have to put in the work, put in the self-actualization work to really live that being that you experience, or live that state of consciousness that you experience when on psychedelics. So there's actually not a lot of research done on psychedelics in general. This kind of a stigma put on psychedelics here in the United States, just because it is a total threat to our society and the power structures that are in place. So not surprising at all that the government wants to keep it under wraps, because it kind of makes people question everything and makes people realize who they really are, which is love, which I know sounds like airy-fairy and not real to you right now, but I guarantee you we are here on this earth to love. Everything is love. Everything is one. That's one of the many insights I got from psychedelics. And so, yeah. We all got mats and our blankets and our pillows, and you go and we were sitting under a tree in the secluded area. I think there were maybe 30 to 40 people in the space doing it at one time. So you're with a bunch of other people, which might seem a little scary, but it really wasn't. And you're just so far into your journey, you don't even notice all the people who are around you. So it's really not a big deal. So you have your blankets, your mat, you sit down. They all give you buckets, in case, like, the medicine doesn't exactly taste the best. So some people get sick, so they give you, like, buckets just in case. And then there's, like, 20 to 30 people in white, just making sure that you feel safe during your journey. If you need napkins, if you need to go to the bathroom, if you need to talk to someone, if you want to get out of the trip a little bit, they can help you with that. So you're in such a safe environment and such a sacred environment. I feel like people take psychedelics a lot of times in, like, a party environment or something like that, and may have a bad trip and then, like, never want to touch psychedelics again. It's like, no, you have to respect the medicine. You have to go in with an intention. You have to go into it with respect. I mean, the medicine can only do some of the work. Like, literally 80% of your experience depends on your intention and how pure your mind is and heart is going into the experience. So I wrote down some intentions to think about during my experience, and I think other people did too. Some people had journals to journal some of the insights and thoughts that they got while on their journey. So you all line up, everyone lines up, they cleanse the whole area with sage before the ceremony, and then you all line up and you take a sip, or they bless your tablespoon of the medicine. And you can ask for more tablespoons if you want. They're not going to charge you extra or whatever. And then everyone gets their medicine, sits on their mats, and then they say one last, like, sacred thing. You take your medicine. For me, it took like 20 to 30 minutes for me to start feeling it. I know I could definitely tell other people around me were feeling it a lot sooner, or like purging before me. I mean, there were people who have gone through serious trauma stuff. Everyone was there for healing. Everyone was there to face the things that they have been avoiding facing. Everyone was there to heal so that they could become their higher self, live their best life, and this medicine just really kind of helps excel that process a little bit. It's not like a quick fix by any means, but it definitely helps a lot, and might even be able to get you quicker to your highest self than like meditation or yoga and stuff like that. So I started feeling it. Like I said, it's really hard to describe, but I laid down and I saw a grid, and it was all these grids, like parallel and like going into each other, basically dimensions. And then I saw like the shadow of what looked like Buddha, kind of. And I was getting really deep, and then I started to feel kind of sick. And then I was going into some deep places, but the sickness was a little distracting for me, so then I purged, and then I felt like my usual like happy trippy self when I'm on psychedelics. So I feel like it sobered me up a little bit, and I wasn't as in deep of a state. So I definitely recommend holding down. I mean, don't like completely resist purging, but holding it down for at least 30 minutes so that you can absorb the medicine. But I was with my boyfriend, and I looked over at him, and he was just like fucking gone. Like, he was incoherent. He I was trying to talk to him. He said he couldn't talk. He said he couldn't move, which isn't a bad thing. I mean, that's totally typical. You're just kind of having like an outer body experience. You're not even really fully in your body anymore, which is great because it takes you into different perspectives of consciousness, into higher states of consciousness. People think like consciousness is just inside your brain, but I'm here to fucking tell you, no, everything is consciousness. Like, scientists are just now starting to catch up to these insights that the ancients and sages have known about for thousands of years. So, yeah. I looked over at my boyfriend. He's incoherent, whatever. I'm trying to talk to him. I look around me. People are like hugging. People are laughing. People are really connecting. And that's kind of like what I really wanted to do with my boyfriend at the time. And when he wasn't responding to me, it really triggered me. And my inner child really came out. And I just started crying. And I just started crying for like 5 to 10 minutes, which felt really good actually, because I tend to suppress my emotions and not allow myself to actually feel them. And you know, what you resist persists. So if I didn't face them now, it would continually come up again and again. So yeah, I felt really alone. And I had this insight, like, okay, if I were all alone and I had nobody to connect with, would I be sad all the time, or would I choose to celebrate life regardless and be happy even if I were all alone? And I was like, I would want to choose to celebrate life. Like, what kind of person would I be if I didn't, you know? Like, there's so much beauty in the world and out there, so many things to see and experience and explore, and I wouldn't want to get in my own way of celebrating life. So that was really a deep, powerful insight for me. And then another one was fear. I kept thinking about how I was fearful of feeling this pain in my shoulder that I've been having, and I was fearful of just like letting go of control in general and surrendering just to what is. There's a lot of fear inside me to do that, and I had this insight to just face all those fears head on, because number one, whatever experience that is, it will pass, and you're gonna survive. You're gonna make it through it, and it's gonna make you stronger. You don't grow if you don't go through uncomfortable experiences. That's why you always have to like push yourself to do things that make you feel uncomfortable, or else you're never really going to grow. So that was a powerful insight that I had. My intention was purpose. I was like, what is my purpose? What is my purpose? I really didn't even think about that because I was just so deep in the journey. But like I said, like, crying felt really good. It was all this release, and I was like, okay. And then the fear of realization as well. I like look over to the guy next to me, and he told me that he had just died and was reborn, which sounds crazy, I know, but he was like wrapped up in a cocoon, like in his blanket in fetal position, and he said he felt like he was in a womb and he had just been reborn. And this guy had struggled with alcoholism and stuff like that, and he said he's done with alcohol. It's the devil. He never wants to touch it again. So that was really powerful, and that was his, I don't know, maybe 4th time doing ayahuasca, and the first time was last year, and he suffered from adult acne really badly, and he actually a few weeks after that, after doing ayahuasca, all of his acne was gone. And he went to his dermatologist, and he told him, you know, I didn't really change my diet or anything like that, but I did do ayahuasca, and it freaking healed my acne. So it's just like a very healing, like very powerful medicine that has helped a lot of people. So that was his experience. And then I was done tripping before my boyfriend because my boyfriend did not purge, so it was in his system a little bit longer. So I like went to go get food, and when I came back, he was crying. And I had never seen my boyfriend cry before. And I was like, "Were you crying?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "That's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen you do." And then we hugged for a long time, and he told me that I was so worthy of love and all this stuff, and how he had an outer body experience. He wasn't there. He kind of like realized like consciousness like can be really fluid, and like this maybe you know, there are much bigger things than just being like a human, basically. And he said he was thinking about his family a lot and how he wanted to like spend more time with his family, and had overwhelming feelings of love, just like love was like a reoccurring thing during his journey. So then, yeah, we went and got lunch, because you do have to like fast before you take the medicine, just so that its impact on you is clear, and there's nothing maybe interacting with the medicine in any kind of way. So you have to do kind of a detox. I didn't smoke weed, I didn't drink coffee, and then we have integration sessions where you sit down with a doctor and a few other people, and you go talk about your experiences and learn how to integrate those experiences into your everyday life. And so during our integration session, one guy said, this was an older gentleman, I believe he was in his 60s, and him and his dad growing up had a lot of turmoil, and he said his dad came to him during his experience and smiled at him. And he said that he had never seen his dad smile like that before, and there was a closure that happened between them, that everything was fine regardless of the turmoil growing up and stuff like that. So he felt really happy. And another woman, her daughter died after 30 days of being born, and so she had been depressed for like 20 years after this incident. And she said during her experience, her daughter came to her and showed her being reincarnated and born into another family and living out a full life. And this woman came out of the experience, and she said it's the first time that she's felt happy, you know, in decades. So that's the kind of healing, like literally 20 years of therapy in 3 hours. Like, this shit is insane. Like, this message from plant medicine needs to spread all over the world, and it's definitely getting there. There's organizations like MAPS, and more scientists are becoming hip to this. So yeah, most people had like deeper experiences than me. They say the first time you do ayahuasca, it's kind of like the first day, and the second time is like the second day, and then the third time you're on your third day, and things start to get like really more intimate. So yeah, that was cool. And then I love the integration session, and then we started to basically get ready for our next trip at 9 p.m. And so once again, they cleanse the area, they bless your medicine. We went into this indoor building called the Maloka for our ceremony. There's a bunch of different ceremony areas, so it's not like you're sitting with like 80 different people. I think maybe we were with like 20 people or something, so it was smaller, which was nice. And I thought that I should purge early so that I can really relax and enjoy the medicine and not feel nauseous. which was a huge mistake, which is why I say you should try not to purge for at least like 30 minutes so that your body totally absorbs the medicine, because I purged after 10 minutes and then I like sobered up like that and I didn't really feel anything, and then they give you like a booster, another tablespoon of the medicine 2 hours into it. So then I did that, and that was when I had some really deep insights about of course you're seeing like sacred geometry and you're hearing all these beautiful sounds and all those things are great, but really you take most from the medicine is the lessons and the insights that you get, and the abstract thoughts that you think that are life transforming and just so healing. So I had a revelation about self-love. I guess I found it like really hard to love myself. I mean, I've definitely not been the most perfect person. I've definitely done some like bad things in my day. So I guess I've always found it kind of hard to fully love myself. And so I really had to learn, you know, my past doesn't define who I am today, and I'm totally worthy of love. Everyone is worthy of love. Everyone is perfect just the way they are, just like being alive and breathing. You're perfect because you are love. So I like filled myself up with self-love. I had this revelation that if you don't have your inside right, if you don't love yourself, how are you going to fully love others, and how are you going to love your planet, you know? That's why people like Trump, who eat a bunch of processed meats and clearly doesn't take good care of his body, like no wonder, of course, he doesn't treat the planet with sacredness and the respect that it deserves, because he doesn't love himself. But even then, like, I had to fully, self-love is about fully accepting yourself and others no matter what, just the way they are, and you have to just accept what is, and you can't reject it, you just have to love it. So that was really great. And then we were up super late that night until like 2 a.m. And just talking to people about their experiences. We did like a dance around like a drum circle, and I was like celebrating life. Like I felt so connected to my like Native American ancestors, and I just felt so connected to the earth, and I feel like we're all just like a little disconnected from the earth, and we all kind of lose our way sometimes, and we have to find our way back. And so yeah, ayahuasca really helped me connect with who I am and celebrating life. So that was really woke amazing. Up the next morning and we had another integration session, and mind you, that this whole time they're like giving you snacks, giving you food. It's just such a loving community. Everyone's just like so nice and so loving. So I just want to like and make sure anyone who might be interested in like going to do this, like, you're totally safe. Like there's nothing to be afraid of if you're fearful of doing it. It will help you heal. Will you be uncomfortable because you have to face some of you have to do some shadow work, you have to maybe face some demons here and there? Like, you will come out of it so much more mature and so have so much more clarity about life and purpose. And maybe you don't think life has a purpose at all. Maybe you're in that paradigm, but this will totally mind blow you, like rock your freaking world for the better. I guarantee it. And yeah. And then we ended up Ubering with our friend to the airport and came home and went back to work just feeling happy, just like feeling high on life. Like, people think I was like drunk or high or this or that. I'm like, I'm just like literally healed, and I'm happy. And I highly recommend everyone doing research on this stuff, everyone just learning about enlightenment, learning about awakening, learning about self-actualization. It's just so freeing, and it puts your entire experience into perspective. And I have just become more aware in my everyday life and more accepting in my everyday life, and I did end up getting some clarity on my purpose. I want to start a podcast about self-love, because that's not something that we're taught in school, and it's so important. It's honestly, all the problems in the world stem from a lack of self-love. I know that it might not seem like it, but it definitely does. Oh, and I just would like to say that, you have ancestors that come visit you maybe when you're under this experience, or you have like a dead, a family member who passed away come and visit you, and maybe you think like, oh, that's just like a hallucination, or that's just like chemicals like in my brain changing, and that's what's causing this, and that's not really real, and like this and that. Like, no, you're not crazy. That really happened. That's real. Like, our normal state of consciousness is so freaking limited. Like, of course you're not able to see things like that in your like normal state of consciousness, but what psychedelics help you to do is take you into higher states of consciousness where you can see the things that are there that you wouldn't normally see in your normal state. Your normal state is not the absolute truth. It's consciousness is so fluid, and right now we're just like in a controlled like consciousness state, but there are literally an infinite number of consciousness states. So that's the beauty of it. There's so much to learn, there's so much to explore, and don't be alarmed by the uncertainty of life or psychedelics. Just embrace it. Surrender to the flow of love that will heal you. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say. If you're looking to go to Soul Quest, you definitely have the recommendation from me, and I hope that you do. Thanks, guys. Bye.